Let me tell you something that might sound impossible. You can change your entire life in a single day. Not the circumstances, not the bank account, not the relationships, but something far more powerful. You can change the decision, you can change the disgust, you can change the resolve, and when those change, everything else must follow. Most people think transformation takes years. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for everything to align. They wait until they feel ready. But I'm here to tell you that the day that turns your life around is not the day everything gets easier. It's the day you finally say enough. It's the day you draw a line in the sand. It's the day you make a decision so powerful that your old self has no choice but to die. I've studied the lives of the greatest achievers who ever walked this earth. Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller. And I've discovered something remarkable. Every single one of them had a moment when everything changed, not gradually, not slowly, but in an instant. One decision, one day, one declaration that rewired their entire destiny. And tonight, I'm going to show you how to create that moment for yourself. Not someday, not next week, not when you feel ready, but right now, in this very moment. Because the power to transform your life has never been outside of you. It's been waiting inside, waiting for you to finally say the word, waiting for you to finally make the move, waiting for you to finally become what you were always meant to be.
Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Your support keeps us going and helps us bring more stories like this to light. While you're here, let me know where you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. I'm always curious to see how far these stories reach.
Let me start with an emotion most people try to avoid: disgust. But disgust, when properly directed, is one of the most powerful forces for change that exists. Disgust says, "I have had it." And that phrase, when spoken with enough conviction, can alter the entire trajectory of your existence. I remember the day I finally had it. I was 25 years old, broke, living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt. A little Girl Scout came to my door selling cookies, sweet child, full of hope. And I looked at her and I lied. I told her I didn't have any money. She smiled and walked away. And as I closed that door, something inside me broke. I stood there in my shabby apartment and I said out loud, "I've had it. I've had it with lying. I've had it with being broke. I've had it with the shame. I've had it with looking at my life and feeling sick inside." That was the day. Not the day my circumstances changed, but the day my decision changed. And when the decision changed, everything else had to follow. See, disgust is powerful because it creates a breaking point. The man who finally has it with mediocrity stops accepting it. The woman who finally has it with toxic relationships stops tolerating them. The person who finally has it with their own excuses stops making them. Disgust draws a line, and once that line is drawn, there's no going back. I knew a man once who walked into his closet full of cheap, worn-out clothes and ripped everything to shreds. Every shirt, every pair of pants, every tie. He tore them apart with his bare hands and said, "I will never wear this embarrassing garbage again. And not only will I never wear it again, no one else will ever wear it again." That's disgust in action. That's a man who had finally had enough. Now let me ask you something. What have you had it with? What are you finally done tolerating? What lie are you finally done telling yourself? Because until you reach that point of disgust, nothing changes. Until you get so sick of your current reality that staying the same becomes more painful than changing, you'll keep drifting. You'll keep making excuses. You'll keep settling. But the moment you can say with absolute conviction, "I've had it," everything shifts. The universe responds. Your subconscious mind wakes up. Your body starts moving. Your voice gets stronger. Your vision gets clearer. Because disgust is not weakness. Disgust is the beginning of power. It's the emotion that says, "I will no longer accept this." And that declaration is the foundation of all transformation. So, if you want to fix your entire life in one day, start here. Find that thing you've been tolerating, that habit you've been excusing, that relationship you've been enduring, that version of yourself you've been defending, and finally say it. I've had it. Say it with your chest. Say it with conviction. Say it like you mean it. Because the moment those words leave your lips with real emotion behind them, the old life starts dying, and the new one starts fighting to be born. Now let me talk about the second emotion that can change everything. Decision. And I don't mean the kind of wishy-washy, maybe I'll try this and see what happens decision. I mean the kind of decision that creates knots in the pit of your stomach, the kind that wakes you up at 3 in the morning in a cold sweat, the kind that forces you to face yourself and choose. Decision is powerful because it ends the internal civil war. See, most people are at war with themselves every single day. Should I or shouldn't I? Can I or can't I? What if it works? What if it fails? And that constant battle drains them. It exhausts them. It paralyzes them. They spend so much energy debating with themselves that they have nothing left to actually execute. But the man who decides cuts through all of that. He doesn't waste time deliberating. He doesn't need 100 opinions. He doesn't wait for perfect conditions. He makes the decision and moves. And I'll tell you something I learned from a wealthy friend of mine. He said, if it's easy, do it easy. If it's hard, do it hard. Just get it done. Here's what I've discovered. Making the decision is often harder than doing the thing. Once you decide, the path becomes clear. The energy shows up. The resources appear. But as long as you're stuck in maybe, nothing moves. The universe doesn't respond to maybe. It responds to I will. It responds to I must. It responds to this is done. I've seen people transform their entire financial situation with one decision. Not a plan, a decision. I've seen people save marriages with one decision. Not therapy, decision. I've seen people lose 100 pounds with one decision. Not diet, not exercise. Decision first, then action follows. Because action without decision is just motion. But decision creates momentum. Now here's what most people don't understand about decision. A real decision burns the bridges. It eliminates the option to retreat. It removes the safety net. When you truly decide, you're not leaving yourself an out. You're not keeping plan B in your pocket. You're saying this is it. I'm all in. And if it doesn't work, I'll die trying. That's a decision. Hernando Cortez understood this when he landed in Mexico with 600 men to face an empire of millions. The first thing he did was burn the ships. His men had 2 options, win or die. There was no going back. There was no retreat. And because of that decision, they conquered an empire. Not because they were stronger, not because they were smarter, but because they had no choice but to succeed. So let me ask you, what decision have you been avoiding? What choice have you been postponing? What commitment have you been too afraid to make? Because I guarantee you, somewhere in your life right now, there's a decision waiting to be made. And the moment you make it, truly make it with every fiber of your being, the energy will shift, the path will open, the doors will unlock. And here's the beautiful part. Once you've decided, getting on with it is easier than you think. The hardest part is the decision itself. But once you cross that line, once you commit, once you say there's no turning back, something inside you awakens. A strength you didn't know you had, a clarity you've never experienced, a determination that cannot be stopped. Now let's talk about the third emotion, desire. Wanting something so badly that you can taste it. Wanting something so deeply that it keeps you awake at night. Wanting something so intensely that you're willing to sacrifice everything else to get it. Desire is a strange thing. I can't tell you how to want something. That's something that has to come from inside you. No one can give it to you. No one can manufacture it for you. It's either there or it's not. But here's what I do know about desire. It can be triggered, it can be awakened, it can be brought to life by something you experience. Sometimes desire sleeps for years. It's there, buried deep inside you, but it's dormant. And then something happens. Maybe you read a book. Maybe you hear a song. Maybe you attend a seminar. Maybe you have a conversation with a friend. Maybe you witness something that stirs your soul. And suddenly, the desire that was sleeping wakes up. And when it wakes up, it demands to be fed. I've seen this happen countless times. A man is drifting through life with no real purpose, just going through the motions, getting by, and then something touches him, a story, an experience, a moment of truth, and boom, the desire explodes. He sees what's possible, he feels what he's been missing, and suddenly he's on fire. Suddenly he's unstoppable. Suddenly he's a different person. The best advice I can give you about desire is this: welcome every human experience. You never know which one is going to turn everything on, even the bad experiences. Sometimes the most bitter experience creates the greatest awakening. Sometimes the deepest pain births the strongest desire. Sometimes what breaks you is exactly what makes you. So, let down the barriers, take down the walls. The same wall that keeps out disappointment keeps out happiness. The same shield that protects you from pain also blocks you from passion. Let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Let it move you. Let it stir something inside you that's been sleeping too long. And here's what happens when desire finally awakens. Everything changes. You stop needing motivation because desire is its own fuel. You stop needing discipline because desire creates discipline. You stop needing willpower because desire gives you power beyond will. When you want something badly enough, nothing can stop you. Not obstacles, not failures, not critics, not doubt, nothing. I've seen people with average intelligence achieve extraordinary things because their desire was strong enough. I've seen people with limited resources build empires because their desire was deep enough. I've seen people with every disadvantage rise to the top because their desire was fierce enough. Desire is the great equalizer. It's the force that makes the impossible possible. Now we come to the fourth and most powerful emotion: resolve. Resolve says two words: I will. And those might be the two most powerful words in any language. Not I hope, not I'll try. Not maybe, I will, period. End of discussion. Benjamin Disraeli once said something that shook me to my core when I first heard it. He said, "Nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose." Read that again. Nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose. In other words, I'll do it or die. That's resolve. That's the kind of commitment that changes everything. That's the kind of determination that makes the world step aside. Because when a man says, I will, with that level of conviction, the universe has no choice but to respond. The obstacles have no choice but to move. The doors have no choice but to open. I met a little girl once, junior high student. I was speaking to her class and I asked them to define resolve. Several kids raised their hands. Good answers. But then this little girl in the third row raised her hand, and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Mr. Rohn, I think resolve means promising yourself you will never give up." And I stopped. I looked at her, and I said, "That's it. Webster, stand aside. That is the definition. Promise yourself you will never give up." See, that's what resolve really is. It's not just determination. It's not just persistence. It's a sacred promise you make to yourself, a vow, a covenant, that no matter what happens, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how long it takes, you will not quit. Let me ask you a question. How long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long would you give your average baby before you shut them off? The answer is obvious. Any mother in the world would say, "You're crazy. My baby is going to keep trying until it learns how to walk." What a magic formula. Keep trying until you succeed. Don't stop. Don't quit. Don't give up. Just keep going until you get there. That's the attitude of resolve. The man who resolves says, "I will climb the mountain. They told me it's too high. They told me it's too far. They told me it's too rocky. They told me it's too difficult. They told me it's never been done before. But it's my mountain. I will climb it. You'll see me waving from the top, or you'll see me dead on the side, because I'm not coming back." That's not arrogance, that's resolve. That's a man who has made a decision so deep that failure is no longer an option. He's removed the possibility of retreat. He's burned every bridge behind him. He's staked his entire existence on achieving his purpose. And when a man moves with that level of commitment, the world must yield. Now here's the key that brings all of these emotions together: action. You can feel disgust, you can make decisions, you can burn with desire, you can resolve to succeed. But if you don't act, nothing happens. Action is the trigger that transforms emotion into results. Jesus said it perfectly. Don't just be hearers, be doers. The world doesn't admire the people who know what to do. The world admires the people who do what they know. There's a massive difference between understanding and execution, between knowing and doing, between intention and action. Let me give you a phrase that will change your life if you really hear it. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. There's a thin line between faith and folly. You can say all the right words. You can visualize all the right outcomes. You can repeat all the right mantras. But if you're not backing those affirmations with disciplined action, you're just fooling yourself. However, and this is crucial, affirmation with discipline can bring the most spectacular results. When what you declare with your mouth is backed up by what you do with your hands, miracles happen. When your words and your actions align, the universe must respond. When you say it and do it, everything changes. Let me give you a powerful example. After World War II, the Jewish people surveyed the Holocaust. 6.5 million Jews had perished, families destroyed, communities erased. A genocide that shook the world. And when the survivors counted the dead and mourned the loss, they came together and said 2 words: never again. That was the affirmation. Never again will we walk silently to the boxcars. Never again will we let them ship us through the night to Auschwitz. Never again. Good affirmation. But then they asked the critical question: what are we going to do to back up this affirmation? They said, we'll build a nation. Then they said, we'll build an army and a navy and an air force. We'll buy bombs. We'll buy bullets. We'll spend a big portion of the national treasure. We'll even spend some of Israel's finest lives. We mean it. Never again. That's called backing up affirmation with discipline. Does it work? They've been tested 4 times in major wars. 4 times they proved their resolve. 4 times they showed that their words and their actions were aligned. The lesson is simple but profound. Make sure you always have a game plan to match your wishes. Otherwise, they will always be wishes. Dreams without plans are fantasies. Goals without action are illusions. Words without deeds are empty noise. But when you combine powerful declaration with relentless execution, you become unstoppable. Now I want to give you 4 questions to take with you. These are not casual questions. These are questions that can fundamentally alter how you see yourself and your possibilities. Questions to ponder. Questions to wrestle with. Questions that demand honest answers. The first question is this: why? Why should you try? Why read all those books? Why go that far? Why earn that much? Why share that much? Why learn all that? Why get up that early? Why put yourself through all that? Why try for all of it? It's a legitimate question. Why? And here's the answer I want you to consider. The second question: why not? What else are you going to do with your life? Why not see how many books you can read? Why not see how far you can go? Why not see how much you can earn? Why not see how many people you can help? Why not see how much you can accomplish? Why not see how far you can stretch yourself? Why not discover what you're really capable of? You have to stay here until you go, so why not make it count? Why not make it matter? Why not make it magnificent? Why not push every boundary? Why not test every limit? Why not become everything you're capable of becoming? You're here anyway. Might as well go all in. The third question is even more powerful. Why not you? Why not you? Some people have done the most incredible things with limited starts. Why not you? Some people have overcome impossible odds. Why not you? Some people have transformed their lives completely. Why not you? Why not you walking through the Palace of Versailles? Why not you having lunch in those sidewalk cafes in Paris? Why not you gazing at the Mona Lisa? Why not you shopping on 5th Avenue? Why not you staying at the Waldorf Astoria? Why not you building the business? Why not you writing the book? Why not you creating the legacy? Why not you? You've got to see the world. You've got to read the books. You've got to do the enterprises. You've got to be involved in commerce and love and travel and experiences. You've got to do it all. And the question is not whether someone will do it. The question is, why not you? What makes you less qualified than anyone else? What makes you less deserving? What makes you less capable? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The fourth and final question is this: why not now? Don't postpone your better future any longer. Don't wait until the conditions are perfect. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you have more time or more money or more knowledge or more support. Start now. Begin now. Move now. Get some new books tomorrow. Ask some new questions. Set some new goals. Get a new journal. Start a projects book. Get a game plan going. Do more reading. Make changes. Have conversations. Make contact. And do it now. Not next week. Not next month. Not next year. Now. Listen to me carefully. The day that turns your life around is not the day your circumstances change. It's the day your decision changes. It's not the day you get more. It's the day you become more. It's not the day the world shifts. It's the day you shift. That day can be today. Right now. This moment. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's validation. You just need to make the call, draw the line, say the word, make the commitment, take the action. I've had it. That's disgust speaking. I will. That's decision speaking. I must. That's desire speaking. I promise myself I will never give up. That's resolve speaking. And then you move. You act. You execute. You do something about how you feel. One decision can change everything. One moment of clarity can redirect your entire destiny. One act of courage can set in motion forces you never knew existed. One day of transformation can become the pivot point for the rest of your life. But you have to do your part. That's what we've talked about tonight. You have to do your part. And I believe if you do your part, God will do His part. It's a partnership. It's a collaboration. It's a dance between your effort and divine assistance. There's a story about a man who took a rock pile and in 2 years turned it into a fabulous garden. People came from everywhere to see it. One day a visitor came by, saw the garden, and wanted to make sure the gardener didn't take all the credit. So he said, "Mr. Gardener, you and the good Lord together have this beautiful garden here." And the gardener said, "I understand. I know what you mean. If it wasn't for the sunshine and the rain and the miracle of the seed and the soil and the seasons, there would be no garden. But you should have seen this place a couple years ago, when God had it all by Himself." That's the truth. We play a part. The universe provides the raw materials. God provides the potential. But we have to do the work. We have to plant the seeds. We have to pull the weeds. We have to water the garden. We have to tend it day after day after day. So here's my final word to you. Your life can change today. Not gradually, not eventually, not someday. Today, right now, in this very moment. You have the power. You've always had the power. It's been sitting inside you, waiting for you to finally use it. The question is, will you? Will you finally have enough disgust to say, "I've had it"? Will you finally make the decision to cut off all retreat? Will you finally tap into the desire that's been sleeping inside you? Will you finally resolve to never give up no matter what? And most importantly, will you act? Will you move? Will you do something about how you feel? Because knowledge without action is worthless. Emotion without execution is meaningless. Decision without discipline is delusion. But if you'll do it, if you'll really commit, if you'll burn the ships and stake everything on your purpose, I promise you the world will respond, the universe will shift, the doors will open, the path will appear. Not because you're lucky, not because you're special, but because that's how the law works. The day that turns your life around is waiting. It might be today. It might be right now. It might be the moment you finish hearing these words. Don't let it pass. Don't let this moment slip away. Don't walk away from this message without making a decision. Say it. I've had it. I will. I must. I promise myself I will never give up. Say it with conviction. Say it with power. Say it like you mean it. And then move. take one action, one step, one small move in the direction of your new life. Your story is waiting to be written. Your destiny is waiting to be claimed. Your potential is waiting to be unleashed. But it all starts with one day, one decision. One moment when you finally say enough is enough, when you finally draw the line, when you finally become the person you were always meant to be. That day can be today. Make it count. Make it matter. Make it the day everything changed. I believe in you. Now believe in yourself. And let's see what happens when you finally unleash everything you've been holding back.
That's it for today. If this message resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you catch tomorrow's message. Take action today. You'll be glad you did.